Hi guys, welcome to another vlog. I actually uploaded a vlog yesterday but took it down after a few minutes because I don't know, it was sort of like a bit too reactionary, I would say, to the current situations going on specifically in America right now. And I don't know, it's just upon reflection, it's like, what's the point in being, overly negative? I mean, it's an awful situation, you can't escape how awful it is, but it's just the whole sort of like atmosphere of that video, which I'm not sure how many people saw it, but it's just not how I want to really portray myself really during stuff like this. I think a lot of mental strain right now with things going on, and that obviously doesn't help. But yeah, so I thought I'd do something a little bit more positive, and I'll address it in a little bit. But so we've got a signpost, overly saturated with light, of course, for the bar that the family have built. I'd really no part in the actual building of it, but that's what it looks like. You've got a chalkboard paint there, so we can have a nice sign, and when my niece comes visit, she can draw and have fun. We've actually bought 4 black stools, like just really ties in nicely with the bar itself. But yeah, all of that is pretty much salvaged wood. The only costs that we had were this gazebo and the lights and that sort of thing. But yeah, not too bad, huh? Perfect time to build this. That's one of the few positives about the global situation. Gives you time to be creative and focus on family and that sort of stuff. Got some nice furnishings for it as well, using the awkwardly touched it then mini kegs that we got from Magic Rock. This was kindly gifted to us by a friend of the family, or my brother's friend who he works with, and I had these like Omnipio bottles lying around, so I thought I'd do something interesting with them, put some lights in. Of course you can't see it because it's pitch black. It's the opposite of pitch black. There we go, that one's a little bit better. So they look really quite nice in the light. Obviously we've got to hide them because of the big battery packs, and then got that one. I'm not sure if I've shown this all before, I don't really care. And then I made with offcuts some like bar, these things, can't remember what they're called, bar mats, but we thought we'd use them to put the bottles on. So yeah, so that's what the bar looks like. Got an old, for some reason, even though we don't really drink wine, we've got an old wine rack there. The back is still a little bit of a mess because it's all like the offcuts of the wood, but I made a little beer mat board thing just to have a little bit of a little touch. So there's still little things to do. We need to get this gazebo lit up properly. I was thinking of putting like a spotlight there and then a spotlight there, so it sort of illuminates the bar when it gets dark. I mean, it's lit nicely, but it's not well lit, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's been good. My nan visited us yesterday for the first time since lockdown came into effect. Got us bent over the bar then. Always welcome. So yeah, I've got nowhere to really rest the camera on without having to bend over like I'm presenting myself. Not that you're allowed to have sex now, apparently, according to the government, but I don't think that really affected me, to be honest. But yeah, so lockdown's been lifted slightly. Oh, I'm not doing that. Not bending over. I look like a prize twat, which I look like a prize twat anyway. I pride myself on my twattiness. So let's put that away. But yeah, so lockdown's been lifted, so we're able to see relatives and stuff in the garden, and my nan, who's been, as many people are and still continue to do so, just until things smooth out a bit, was shielding, so she visited yesterday, which was nice, but I couldn't really say because I was working. So yeah, there's a lot to be thankful for, and I think the video that I did post initially was it just doesn't add anything to the vibe or the energy. Do you know what I mean? Not that I'm like one of those people who, I can feel positive energy and things like that. I don't really feel those sort of things. I'm not a spiritual person either, really. But yeah, I was just a bit frustrated by seeing people in the UK who were once complaining about people protesting about lockdown measures, swarming to the cities, and basically it's just going to make that second curve peak a lot sooner, and probably a little bit more harshly. But then again, it's outside, so the outside, and yes, my eyes still fucking awful, look at that. So yeah, it sort of dampens the spread, doesn't it, really? So I'm not sure how much that will affect it, but people have been flouting, ever since the start of this. So I'm surprised that the numbers aren't as high, aren't even higher than they are now. But yeah, it just sort of frustrated me. I mean, I know the reason why it's a just cause, because it's a shame it's only now that we're really waking up to the institutional racism in America and all around the world, really. And I was a little bit frustrated about seeing people looting and stuff like that, but you come to the realisation of these poor people have been pushed long enough, so it's breaking point. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you're going to smash up Target and loot like a 20-inch TV, fair play, Target's covered, the insurance will cover that. But when it's like small independent businesses, getting stuck in the middle of this, you do feel sorry for them. But as I said, I completely understand the anger, the frustration. I didn't think so initially, but this is the only way you're going to get change, and unfortunately it's going to get violent, and I've got a feeling there's going to be some really awful situations that occur over the coming weeks, and it's just really fucking awful. Another thing that is genuinely pissed me off is this real... See, now, call me jaded, right? But a lot of this stuff you see on social media with like people having a black panel for their profile photo and that sort of stuff, and sharing all of these like posts and things, I just find that a lot of it is so shallow and false, and it really does not do anything to go towards educating people, solving the problem. Because how do you solve that problem? Nobody has the answer. It was inevitable that the National Guard would get sent out. What do you expect? You can't have these people, just sit back and watch communities fall apart. Although I don't really agree with their measures. Innocent people, not even involved in the protests, are getting caught up in police brutality and the thuggishness of the National Guard. Trump's not helping, although his speech I did find wasn't as bad as people make it out to be, but then again, it's more about reading between the lines, I suppose, so you'll get something different to what I do. But yeah, it's the whole falsity of it all that gets to me. These people you've known for ages, you've followed them, and they've never really stood behind any cause, raised awareness for anything in terms of equality, and now all of a sudden, they've miraculously been people who've been part of the fight their whole lives, when they clearly haven't. It's a shame that there are people out there who would much rather look like they gave a shit than actually gave a shit. Do you know what I mean? And you can see it from a mile off. I'm not saying everyone's doing that. There are people who aren't even involved in the situation who are, who are being negatively affected about this, and actually, re-establishing and rethinking their lives and how they treat people and stuff like that. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's people latching on, do you know what I mean? And yeah, the likes of Antifa, it's perfect, perfect situation for them to come in involved. Unemployment in America, COVID-19, the incident that started this all, and then it's the perfect sort of way they can worm in and, just for their own political gain. And I actually think it's quite good that Trump has now declared them as a terrorist organisation, because I've never liked Antifa. I remember when I was living in Germany and they were having that summit, and then they pretty much was at Hamburg. They were doing exactly the same, like smashing up small businesses, and yet the people who they're going after, they're not touching them in any way. Do you know what I mean? There's just, you could go down the whole George Soros thing, but I'm not educated enough to see the links between that. All I know is I'm very untrusting of him as a person. When you're Jewish, don't say Jew. When you're a Jewish teenager in the middle of Nazi occupation, and then you actually help the Nazis funnel out the Jews, stop saying Jews, it sounds so derogatory, doesn't mean to be, then you've got to question someone's character. But as I said, I don't fully know the ins and outs of the whole George Soros angle, so I'm not going to get on my high horse with it. But yeah, I think one good thing that will come out of this is hopefully police in America, maybe more body cams. Because you're getting filmed no matter where you are anyway. There's always going to be someone there with a phone. That's one thing that did annoy me. All these people quick to say, I stand with my brothers and sisters. What about all those people who were stood watching this all unfold, and all they're doing is filming it, shouting from afar, "You're killing him, you're killing him." All it takes is one person with enough strength to run over and push the police officer off. So if you really want to make a change, you've got to put yourself out there. You've got to literally help. And of course there's risks. The other policeman stood there probably would have ended up taking a bullet or being restrained yourself. But if you want to help, you have to get involved. Now, I'm not saying violence is the answer, because it's quite clearly shown that it isn't. But what other options are there? Non-violent protests throughout the years, especially when it comes to the persecution of African Americans, have really led to nothing. Civil rights bill only got put through because of the death of Martin Luther King. So are we saying that a person has to unlawfully die before we take action? There needs to be a big change in America. I don't have the answers, and I never claim to make out that I do. But it's ugly. It's really ugly. And at a time like this, when we're in the middle of a pandemic, it's just going to cause absolute carnage. And those death tolls are going to get higher and higher and higher and higher. And it's just not a really pleasant time to be alive, really, is it? But yeah, that's why I didn't really want to upload that 20-minute video, which was just focusing on stuff like that. So, but yeah, luckily I've got a lot to be thankful about. Although it is easy to forget how lucky you are. I've got a job, got a roof over my head, got a good family. I've got a good support network. No one I know directly has succumbed to COVID-19. But, every now and then, you forget all of that. And the tiniest little thing can slump you into this sort of depression. And I think that's what was wrong with that video that I posted yesterday. I didn't want that out there, because that's not me. That was just me at a moment of time where I wasn't exactly at my best mentally, let's say that. So anyway, got to go back to work now. I'm definitely going to have a beer tonight, because this weather's glorious, isn't it? I hate it, but it's glorious. And yeah, so basically, I just want to say that I stand with anyone who faces injustice. I will share, I will raise awareness, I will do whatever I can. And I mean it. Do you know what I mean? There's just a lack of sincerity that I'm seeing going on, and I think that needs to. That's just as troublesome and problematic as the people who are out there causing physical, mental harm and literally taking people's lives just because of the colour of their skin or where they come from. And yeah, it doesn't matter if it's in America or in Hong Kong. The tyrants rule, and the last thing we need to be doing is becoming tyrants ourselves by smashing up people's livelihoods, businesses, going after the wrong people. But again, it's like you can go on about telling them to do peaceful protests, but has that ever really worked? And it's just an ugly truth that we have to face. And I hope, before it gets worse, something happens and there are changes. But yeah, so I hope everyone is staying safe, especially to my American viewers. Heart goes out to all of you at this time, and those who have been directly affected by, racism, bigotry. I can't even begin to imagine, so I won't try and imagine, because why would anyone want to? So there's no even point saying I wish I could relate and blah 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 blah. But I stand by you, and I might not always agree with how you go about things, but I've got so much respect for people who stand up and try and get change. Sometimes things have got to happen that we don't necessarily like, but that's it really, isn't it? Anyway, ending on a high note, hope you like the little bar. There's still some touches to be made. I'm mainly in charge of the aesthetic stuff because I did fuck all else with the bar. But yeah, anyway, so hope you're all taking care, hope you're all staying safe, hope you're trying to be as positive as you can be. Never forget there are people out there who you can talk to no matter what your situation. And the moral of the story is, don't be a scumbag. Be good to each other, be nice, and stand together instead of pulling each other apart. Which I hope people do come together after this. I hope there is something positive that comes from the end of all this. But part of me think it's just going to be another vicious cycle. So we've got to try and break that chain. Anyway, I'm probably gone over my lunch now, but who cares? Still above ground, I'm healthy-ish. And yeah, anyway, you all take care, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.